This is VOA News. In Washington, I'm Jeff Custer. Fierce fighting continues in Sudan Tuesday in spite of a recently extended ceasefire, and citizens are fleeing the fighting by the thousands. The conflict broke out April 15th following months of worsening tensions between the military, led by General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, against a rival paramilitary group called the Rapid Support Forces, commanded by former Burhan ally General Mohamed Hamdan Dagalo. At a news briefing in Geneva Tuesday, High Commissioner for Refugee spokeswoman Olga Sarrado estimated about 100,000 refugees, many of whom were in Sudan after fleeing conflicts elsewhere, have fled Sudan into surrounding countries. The agency estimates more than 800,000 people will flee Sudan if the conflict is not resolved quickly. Sarrado said she also has noted recent arrivals from Sudan are different than those who arrived shortly after the conflict began.
We've seen a change in the pattern since the first days of the emergency. Initially, we saw people arriving with buses, with cars. They had more financial means to pay for this transportation. Those that are arriving now, they are much more vulnerable. They have not had food for days, some of them, and they don't have economic means.
At the same briefing, UN Humanitarian Office spokesman Jens Lerke called on the global community to donate to the UN humanitarian organizations and their partners who are attempting to bring aid to Sudan. He said the groups, which were struggling before the conflict broke out, are currently facing a $1.5 billion funding gap. The Doctors Syndicate, a group that tracks civilian casualties, says at least 436 civilians have been killed and more than 1,200 injured since the fighting began. The power struggle has derailed Sudan's effort to restore its democratic transition, which was derailed October 21st when the two generals, then allies, removed a Western-backed government in a coup. This is VOA News. Ukraine continues urging its Western allies for modern jet fighter aircraft they need to help repel Russian attacks. Ukraine's ambassador to Britain, Vadim Pristeko, told Sky News the need for jet fighters is now even greater as the Russians have started to bombard Ukraine from Russian territory.
They're not even crossing the Ukrainian border, sending the rockets and bombs now over to our cities. So to be able to get these targets from the air, we need something which will be in the air, like aircrafts. And we're still not receiving them. There are different explanations, and most important is that we'll have to have time to prepare our pilots. But that's our argument. Let's start preparing pilots, train them until you make the political decision.
Pristeko also said the much-anticipated Ukrainian counteroffensive has been delayed because of wet weather does not make it optimal for heavy armament such as tanks to move. A highway in the central Midwestern U.S. state of Illinois has reopened after a dust storm led to auto crashes that killed 6 people. Associated Press correspondent Rita Foley reports.
A windstorm kicked up clouds of blinding dust along a stretch of Interstate 55 in Montgomery County, Illinois, Monday morning. More than 70 vehicles crashed, including tractor-trailers, 2 of which caught fire. Illinois State Police Major Ryan Starrick.
The cause of the crash is due to excessive winds blowing dirt from farm fields across the highway, leading to zero visibility.
He was heard there on WICS-TV in Illinois. At least 6 people were killed, dozens more were injured. The National Weather Service says at the time, winds were gusting as high as 45 miles per hour across land that is very flat with few trees. A meteorologist says the farmers are out there tilling their fields and planting. The top layer of soil, he says, is quite loose. I'm Rita Foley.
Tech giant Apple urged a London tribunal Tuesday to block a $2 billion lawsuit accusing the company of hiding defective batteries in their popular iPhones. Reuters correspondent Julian Satterthwaite reports.
Plaintiffs say Apple quietly limited the performance of some handsets to hide the battery issues. That's a practice known as throttling. Apple calls the charges baseless and strongly denies all but a few limited battery problems. The company says a power management update introduced in 2017 was meant to help older batteries and had little impact on performance. It says it has apologized to customers who were hit by battery problems and offered replacements where appropriate. London's Competition Appeals Tribunal now must decide whether to allow a full trial. A lawyer for the plaintiffs points to Apple's 2020 settlement over a battery case in the US as one precedent.
That's Reuters correspondent Julian Satterthwaite reporting. From Washington, I'm Jeff Custer. This is VOA News.
Thank you for watching. Can you do me a favor? Please leave a comment in the comments section below. That would really help. Thank you, and see you again soon.